And I'm like, I don't actually know. You know as much as I do. It wasn't a drill, I don't think. And he was like, come on, tell me the truth. What's happening? I don't know. He told me.
The company, I've been doing cleaning for 25 years. Uh,
Puffing and puffing over to me. And he's like, Zayden Grenier, not a friend of mine, but he asked her.
You first got
until you come up with an idea of how you provide school is for you. Because if you don't go to school, everything else is wasted time. We know you hang out there too long, start getting in trouble. You're not being productive, start getting in trouble. So the model that we have for our brothers who was formerly incarcerated, I always tell people that professionalism first, and then look at the part second. I'm gonna use myself as an example. Always use myself as an example because I can't get mad at myself if I say something crazy about myself. All right. Problem set, the way I'm dressed now. I would never go into business meeting like this. Never. If I had a speaking engagement at a church, I would have never came up with this. If I've had plenty of meetings where speaking engagements around state legislature, around governors in DC. I've been in DC. I done a speaking engagement in DC around. I would never came like this, right? And I don't think there's anything wrong with the way I look. It's just about professionalism, right? It's about looking a role, playing a role, and positioning yourself to win. I feel comfortable coming like this because first, no one never told me I needed a dress. And I didn't want to ask you because I was afraid you would say come business casual. I didn't feel like come business casual. Because I do all this floor Boston after I leave here. And I wouldn't be comfortable doing that. So that's why I didn't follow you up and ask. And thirdly, because it was a college and I just want, and anytime I speak, I try to make sure I'm in a position to be related. And in saying that, that's what we got to understand as former incarcerated individuals as well, right? The first thing I always tell guys all the time is, I never forget. I went to a prison back in North Carolina. It was a youth. They call it Polk Youth Center, but it's for incarcerated young men from the age of 19 to 26. And I remember being here and we was teaching the class, and I remember going around and I asked everybody in that class. I say, if I had a job and give you $75,000, only requirement would be cut your hair. How many of you guys would cut your hair to get this job? And it disheartened me so bad to see so many guys wouldn't do it. It was like maybe 180 guys, and I said, raise your hand. How many of you guys would cut your hair? And out of that, 180 guys, maybe 75, 80 said they wouldn't. And I started going around the room. Why would you cut your hair? Why would you cut your hair? Why would you cut your hair? I'm hearing all these crazy answers. It's the crown of the earth. It's the universe. You know how you got the 5% of all this five. You're hearing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, and I just had to stop him. I say, look, why couldn't you just cut your hair, get the job, work the job for about a year, and while you're working that job for a year, go your hair back. After a year, you don't prove your value, you don't prove your worth, and you don't prove who you are as an individual. I don't care about your hair that point. But I just need you to cut your hair to come, right? So that's what I mean when I say look at the position, playing a role, position yourself to win. Put yourself in a place where people don't question who you are. Because one of the questions I always get at the end of in a speaking engagement, when we have a Q&A, it always come up. How many times have your criminal record stopped you from getting a contract? Right? And I always say one. One time, 25 years of business, out of numerous, and I don't have a small cleaning company. Like I don't have a mom's pops. Like I have like 18 subcontractors I subcontract out to. I have 115 employees at this time. So I don't have a small organization I'm running. Like I have a real cleaning. It's a commercial cleaning company. I don't even call it a cleaning, it's a commercial cleaning company. So I only had one situation. It was when I was gonna get a contract at RDU, which is our airport back home, and I was awarded the contract. They had to have a certain percentage of minority participation, and one of the only qualified companies that could financially and everything that was looking for, all the requirements, all minority companies that fit the bill, right? And I got all the way down to when they started doing criminal records for my employees, and they would have been the federal government. I had been the federal contract. I had to provide mine, shut it down. So, but that was it. And I always explain, I want to believe I never had problems before because whenever I come out, I present myself well. I'm always clean cut. I'm in uniform. Got my shirt tucked in. I know the language of the company. I'm well versed in what we do. I know the product that I'm presenting, and I know the ins and outs of the business. So no one ever had a question, who are you? You understand what I'm saying? Because if I'm coming in and I'm clean, if you got, well, I ain't gonna ask y'all why I'm in this. Because I know I got on some German and all that. So I'm not gonna ask why I'm in this. But if I was in a suit and I came in and I presented myself with any of you guys question, was I ever a convicted felon? I mean, with a clean cut, haircut, suit, with any of you guys ever? I was asking.
Yeah.
And that's what I always explain about positioning yourself and looking apart and playing a role. And that's the first thing we got to understand coming out from incarcerated. And one of the first things we got to understand is coming out from incarcerated is we at a disadvantage. We losing right now. First day out of prison, we losing. We losing. We got Fs, we got felonies, we got people who think that we was in prison raping men. And I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like they think we come from the jungle or whatever. Everything bad, and they gonna think that until you present something different. And it's our duty, and there ain't no need to run from it. And I always tell people all the time, this ain't time to be soft. But I talk to these guys, this ain't time to be soft. Because you won't be in soft when you was out there doing what you were doing. You won't out there when you had the gun up to somebody's head, you won't be in soft then. When you was out there poisoning all these families and killing generations of family, you won't be in soft then. So this is not the time to be soft now. This is the time to buckle up, tighten up. You're gonna get a lot of no's, you're gonna get a lot of, backs turned on you. You get a lot of people tell you, we don't want to give you opportunity. Cool. Move on to the next.
My next question is, here at Tuckett, we see higher education for people coming out of prison as a vehicle for healing, as a vehicle for transformation, as a vehicle for justice, and even reparations. So do you see the economic empowerment of people coming out of prison as a form of justice, as a form of reparations, or how do you see it functioning on a civic and societal level?
One can't go. Like one can't go without comments. As much as I want to say it's a lot of people deserve to be in prison. I look at myself. When I got my first bid at 17, I have an criminal record at that time, right? I didn't have a criminal record at that time. And I was selling drugs, and yeah, I was poisoning the community, but was it 6 years worth? You understand what I'm saying? Was it 6 years worth of me getting locked up? Because I feel like by the time I got locked up in Philadelphia, right? I did 6 months in Philadelphia before I even got down here. Before I got there, I'm sitting here because I'm thinking home. But before I even got there in North Carolina, I'd already did 6 months. A hard time in Philly. Before North Carolina even decided what they was gonna do with me, right? So honestly, by the time I got to Philly, got down, I think I learned a little bit, most of my lessons. But then I gotta look at it like this too. I gotta be honest with myself. Did I? You see what I'm saying? Like at that time, I felt like I did because I went through so much in a short amount of time and at a young age. But did I? Because, and it's a question that probably can never be answered. like honestly, because I felt at that time, yeah, I think at that time I came home because before I already got incarcerated, I was already telling myself, if I make it 18, I'm gone. I'm going to the army. I already told myself that because I already saw where my life was going, right? I just ain't making it 18, right? So I think at that time, I went on to the armed services, changed my life, scared straight, go ahead on, right? But then I look at the flip side of it was, would I be who I am today, right? And I just was in my office yesterday. My little brother had stopped by. He had to pick up some mail because he did 13 years and his mail still come to my house, which I told him yesterday, start having mail come to my house. You 40, man. I don't want to chase you down to give you car titles and insurance bill. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know about you sometimes. You understand what I'm saying? So, but I was just telling him yesterday, I was like, everything we went through in life is necessary.
Yeah.
Everything I went without prison, I'm not an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I often tell myself the same thing. Like I don't know where I would be if I didn't get incarcerated. I really don't. I don't know if I
It
was.
was necessary. It was part of the process. The problem with people is people don't like to go through the process. And I ain't talking about this incarcerated people. I'm talking about people in general, regular people. All people just don't like going through the process. People don't like to go through hardships. I always say, it's funny how people always want your reward but don't want your struggle. Because there's so many people out there. Like I live a good life at home. I'm not gonna lie. Nice house, nice big crib. I love cars. So I got Aston Martins and I got all kinds of stuff. You know, I live a good life at home, right? And I don't go out a lot at home because I just feel like everybody's not happy about my success. So why? It's almost like the Bible says, why squander your pearls before swine, right? So I just don't even bother, right? And it's sad that it have to be like that. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's so many people that want your success but don't want your audience, you know. So
Yeah, thank you. I got one last question before we switch to Q&A. I know you've mentored a lot of people and supported many entrepreneurs since coming home. Is there a specific story, a moment that like stayed with you that you remember that made you feel?
so many. It's so for myself or for other.
Yeah, just watching somebody else come home and you help them and you watch them flourish.
It's so many. I guess I'm gonna give you a good one and a bad one. A good bad one. I'll give you that one first. The good bad one. I got a guy, Anthony Smith. Used to be my partner. When I first got in the trucking business, we was partners. The guy came home from federal penitentiary. Friend of mine brought him to me. Hey man, this thing job. I said, bring him on down there. Come in, I interview him. I don't get nothing out of him because he's just a person that just don't have a lot of personality. And in interviews, I'm trying to like read through, shift through, especially if you're formerly incarcerated. Because I always tell people, I'm here to help you, but if you 1 foot in, 1 foot out, get out of my office. I don't got time for that. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of politicians don't probably not happy that I'm out here trying to show people a different way. I don't got time to be bothered. Because yeah, I don't cross every T and dot every I. Yeah, I do write-offs sometimes and all. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to pay on the same all my money. You understand what I'm saying? So it's certain stuff where I don't want to be bothered either in my life. You understand what I'm saying? So if you have it, you have to get out. So I interview him, can't get anything out of him. I don't hire him. So I guess he worked out. I didn't realize he'd be a fair time with a lot of the guys I used to run the street with, sell drugs with. So I guess he ended up working out one day with the guys. He said, man, I went down there to see him, man, he didn't give me a job. One of my guys on the street called me. And he's a good dude, man, give him a chance. I said, all right, send him back down. I hired him. Hired a guy, he worked with me for like 4 years. He rose up through the ranks of my company. He was right up on me. He came to me around his 4th year. He said, "Hey, I'm interested in starting my own cleaning business as well." I said, "Man, you done done everything you're supposed to do. You faithful lawyer." Took him, showed him how to start a cleaning company, gave him contracts. I think that's all mess started. You know, he was doubling back, trying to go behind my back. But I got a lot of schools on the contract back home. So he doubling behind. So a lot of schools and stuff that he worked in as a supervisor, he trying to double back, trying to steal the contract from me. You know, all kinds of stuff like that. I still didn't want to give up on the guy. The girl I was dating at the time hated this dude. y'all women, oh my God.
They got the intuition.
Look, I can do a whole nother like one of these just about the stuff I learned from like relationships. Leave that alone too. But y'all, intuition is so beautiful. And we're so wise and we just learn how to just flow with y'all and just listen and just humble ourselves and submit ourselves one to another instead of not trying to make women just submit. When we learn all that, we become so precious, man. But she hated this dude, and I went and listened. I would not listen, and I kept trying to put him. So he come to me one day, around 7 years ago, and said, "Hey, you talking about like doing something?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Something, yeah." Like, cool. But he said, "Real estate." I said, because with my real estate, I do flips, and then I hold on. I got investments as well. And the only flips that's the only partnerships I want to do is flip. If stuff I invest in, like I invest in multi-family units and units for commercial as well. And that's the only thing I want to hold on to. Everything else I want flip sale. So I knew he won't financially in that place. So I was like, huh? So what else you know about? He said, trucking. And he was like, right, see him before. I was like, cool, let's do trucking. Did trucking company together, 4 years. All he do was come to me. I need a check for 20,000. Need trip for 30,000. That's me. I'm so embarrassed to say this because I know better. Teach business classes. Don't get involved in anything you don't know about unless you're gonna learn it. But I learned it. So about 4 years go by, and I'm asked, and then one day I just happen, and I'm so busy, and I'm making money all over the place. I'm really not paying attention to the trucks. At this point, we got 7 trucks. He might shoot me a check for 2,000, 2,000 here, 3,000 here. Well, yeah, I might get about $20,000 off of that, 30,000. You know, 4th year come around, my mind started to click a little bit. Like, man, what's going on over here? And I say, hey, man, what's going on? He said, man, they struggling, man. This ain't a really good business. I'm like, okay. I went to my attorney. I said, look, I want you to write this paperwork up. I'm gonna split it up. I just want trucks. I don't care what's in the bank accounts. I just want trucks. Split trucks in half. Took the paperwork to him. I said, if there's anything they want to take in, take out. Signed it. I got 3 trucks. I left them with 4. Started building a C-train. 3 years late. 3 years later, the C-train. I'm on the 10 trucks. He got 0. Mm-hmm. He is 0. His cleaning company fella, I know because people call me for contracts that he stole from me, calling me back, and I said I'm not gonna be him. Stay with him. Y'all dance over there together. I'm gonna stay away from that because I built clean business, and that's how I've been blessed. So that's a good bad one. Where I helped the guy, he should be prospering right now, but he's in a, and now I'm not even say he's in a failing position because I just don't know. I don't know, right? Mm-hmm. But that's a good bad one. Mm-hmm. Then I had Flint. I got tons. I know we ran out of time, and I got tons of others that I did exactly what I did for him, and they flourished.
I think there's something valuable in that story that it's like when you're out here helping people, you can't get discouraged when one of my students decides that they're gonna fall out of college. I can't be like, oh, I'm not helping people coming out of prison anymore. So I think that shows the resilience that even though things went bad, when you help somebody, you still continue to help people, and that speaks volumes on your character.
And I don't know how many times I don't hire people. Because I'm making my business to try to hire people that's and I don't know how many times people have been in school and stole. I never forget I had a school there and stole all the gift cards. The principal bought gift cards for all the teachers and staff. They had stole the gift cards. And I'm in here doing cleanup. I'm doing damage control. I'm lying, talking about we got you on camera. You don't bring the cars back when you go in the jail. I'm doing all kinds of stuff to get people cars back. I get most of the cars back and I fire them. And I go in the office and go crazy. I tell my staff, I ain't hiring nobody. Don't bring if you bring one more person in front of me with a felon, I'm not hiring. Don't bring them in here. I don't want them. I went on that whole tandem. And 2 days later, I'm in the office by myself, interviewing people with criminal records. Because I realized that what God had did, and from day one when I started my company, God told me from day one, there's gonna be part ministry. I'm gonna bless you. I'm not gonna bless you to look like this big guy who made it, got money, was flat. Daddy, I'm putting you in this position because you're the person I can trust. To be honest, you tell the truth, you know what I mean, to help these guys, you're not afraid of them. You're the person I'm putting in that position. I ain't say it's gonna always be sweet, but that's your role. So whenever I have them tantrums like that, I get home real fast and get back to what I'm supposed to do.
I've been there, trust me. Nobody else. I'm helping nobody with their homework no more. Next day I'm in the lab.
We gonna see what we do. So yeah.
Thank you. But yeah, Lawrence, I appreciate you.
Great.
At this point, we're gonna open it up to Q&A. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. I got a question over here. Please state your name and your affiliation if you'd like as well.
And don't feel rushed, because I'm here as long as y'all want me to.
We have Caretakers, which is a reentry program. So if anyone has questions about that, I'd love to talk to you guys. But my question is, what have you found are the unique challenges to being an entrepreneur and having a criminal record versus finding jobs and getting employed as you're reentering?
Far as myself.
Yeah, for yourself or things that you've observed. What are the
So I would say for observation, because to be honest, my first job was on this. And I think from observing myself, I think when you come out as a former incarcerated person, you gotta have something. You gotta have something that's gonna be pushed, because you're gonna get a lot of no's, you're gonna get a lot of, a lot of not opportunity, right? And you're gonna get discouraged. You're gonna most definitely get discouraged. And what I always had to fall back on was, I'm not selling drugs anymore. I got a family. And by all means necessary, legally, I'm gonna make it happen. So I'll tell you right now, if all my businesses fail right now, guess what I'm gonna do tomorrow? So, and you just gotta be you gotta be you gotta be debt driven, and that soul, and gotta have that faith to that point where nothing that's matter. When it come down to observing seeing these guys, I think one of the challenges that the guys have is, and I always explain to them, even before I hire them, or even if I don't hire them, right? Always talk to these guys about life changes. Because if you don't change who you are as a person, anything else is not gonna matter. And I just was going through this with some of the box truck drivers, because this with the box trucks, I thought cleaning was bad. Lord, the box trucks, these guys are different beasts. Like these guys see the difference with cleaner, they got criminal records and stuff like that, but these guys with the box trucks, they got criminal records, but they got a special skill. So with them having to bring a certain amount of area, they feel like you need it. Almost compared to cleaning people a little bit more humble, and so with these guys, I just had a meet with all of them. I just pretty much like, hey, look, man, I really don't even like this business. I started the box trucks because of my fiance. She wanted to get in the truck, and then she wanted to do the box trucks, and I was like, And I want to tell the girl, no, stay on the trucks. Don't do the drugs. But I had to let her flourish and figure it out. And it's a good business. Like, I really was going to shut it down at the beginning of this year. We did the taxes on it. I was like, oh, man, yeah. All right, let's try it again another year. Then let's tighten up on stuff. So, in me tightening up on stuff, I had to meet with the guys, right? And the first thing I said was like, sometimes I don't understand you guys as men. Not even outside of the work. You got criminal records. You come in late. You come in sloppy. You got excuses. You're always trying to find a way. You're always calling out. You're doing all this stuff right here. And you're almost homeless. And you're staying with your girlfriend. And you're borrowing her car to get to work. Like, so I think the biggest challenge with these guys is changing their mind, turning their mind around. Turning their mind around from, who you were to who you trying to become. And the crazy thing that drives me, it's almost insanity to me sometimes, is I'm not even the type owner who, like the box trucks, I kind of stay out of it so I can stay real, right? So the only time I really even deal with the box trucks is like if I got to reprimand somebody, we got to fire somebody, or I got to get somebody that last hope, and I stay out of all the other stuff like payroll and all that. I just let her deal with all that so I can stay that person, because sometimes I have to come out of being professional. You understand what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I got to sit down and talk to some of these guys like they're my little brother. Like I see, damn, that was stupid as hell. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and I can't do that and be boss. You understand? So, or the employer. So I just stay away from that so I can do that with that, right? And with some of these guys, man, like even with me being like that, all of them know when they come to my office, I got awards all on my wall. I got X fell and changed his life and turned it around, sitting up on the wall. So I'm not sitting here like lying. I'm telling you, I done been through this, and this is what I had to do to get through this. I know this is what I had to do to get through this, and you will give and I call it the I have a dream speech. That's what I call it. I give them the I have a dream speech, and then still walk right out of their office. And what I had to do is I had to take a piece from substance abuse, because my mom's went through substance abuse. So in her going through substance abuse, I learned a lot about substance abuse. And what I had to realize was, until they ready, bump their head enough, till they done went back and forth in the prison enough, till they lose something detrimental in its value, until they go through that, it's almost like talking to a wall. But you can't give up though, because you got to think about the people that give up on you. You understand what I'm saying? Because I think about how many times, I don't know if anybody in your Christian or you got any religion or anything that you devout to. Think about how many times people brought that religion to you before you finally sold out. You know what I'm saying? Think about how many times, I can remember times I came out of the courthouse and dudes out there with the pamphlet like, do you know God? Nah, get out my face. You understand what I'm saying? Until I had my God experience. And I even think about some of the experiences like, I don't consider myself a holy roller or anything like that. I love God. I know He the source. I know this by everything possible in my life, and I serve Him to the best of my ability. At the same time, I'm not gonna be a holy roller, because being a holy roller, when I first came out of prison the second time, I was a holy roller. I was on the prison ministry at church. That's not how many prisons we went to. 0. That's not the prisons I done went to, not being on the prison ministry at church. 150 prisons. You understand what I'm saying? So all that means here, it don't mean just because you go to a building that you a Christian. It's about how you live your life, how you serve, how you help people out. So we just can't give up on them. We just gotta keep fighting for them. We gotta keep pouring into them. We gotta understand that just like a tree, how a tree grows. You plant the seed, but the water gotta come. You might have just been the seed plant, or you might have just been the water. The next person come behind, you might be the sun, make it blossom. But you gotta play. Everybody gotta play the part.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think it all depends on the person's circumstances. Like I had plenty of business ideas coming home, but I'm like, I'm a dad, I need a job now, I'm a student, I can't start a business and be a full-time college student at the same time. So it's like whatever my position was and whatever that person's grit and their drive is all gonna depend on whether they're gonna go try to find a job or whether they're gonna be
But you was moving though.
yes. But we are running out of time. I'm so sorry about the Q&A session. It is 12:59, but can you please join me in a round of applause?
I'm good. Thank you guys. Like I tell people every time, man, it's an honor for anybody want to hear anything come out of my mouth. It's awesome because when you go home, you look yourself in the mirror and you can't lie to yourself, right? And like I can sit here all day long and tell y'all about all the things I've been through in life, and you got a choice to believe it or not, right? But when I go home and I think about the things that I came through and stuff like that, like it's truly an honor to be in Boston, Massachusetts. Not up here trying to find a new cadet to buy some drugs. Not up here trying to do some criminal or up here because I'm trying to spend some drugs when I made back home. But to really be up here serving a purpose, like I'm grateful. Like I mean, I'm super grateful.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.